So a concept that I learned a little while back, I wanted to talk about a little bit. It's this concept of, simply putting it, miss more flights, right? Missing more flights, meaning like airplane flights that you take. And I do a horrible job of sourcing because I can't remember the book offhand now where I heard that, but somebody will help me out. The concept of miss more flights was if you're the person who never missed a flight, right? If you've never missed an airplane flight in your life, you always got there on time. You always got your bags checked in time. You made it through security. You got to the gate and you were good to go. You never missed once. The odds are the reason you can achieve that, the reason you can have a 100% hit rate is because you take such extreme or severe steps to prevent missing a flight, right? The only way you can ensure to never miss a flight is you get there X amount of hours beforehand. You make sure you have all the stuff you need and you don't forget anything. You make sure you leave early enough so if traffic could be an issue. You mitigate all risks. You eliminate as many risks, if not all, that you can, and you miss zero flights. And again, the concept here is that's bad. You should miss some flights. Miss more flights. Not all of them, but you should be missing more of them, right? Because if you contrast it, the viewpoint is, if you take the risk to miss a flight, right? If you do miss a flight at some point, it suggests that you aren't taking those severe measures, or the measures that you were taking to not miss a flight. The reason I like that concept, I think it's very clever. It's a very clever way to look at it and think about it, and it's kind of catchy, miss more flights. But the reason I think I like it so much is it comes back to that math equation I always talk about, and I think it's an interesting way to look at it that can be very real for people. You can relate to it, so I think it works. Because, right, think about it in terms of the math equation, right? The cost-benefit analysis that I believe we all always do every time we make a decision or take an action, what have you. You're looking at this situation and saying the cost of missing a flight is however high, call it 50. So I'm not willing to get that cost. So I'm gonna do something to ensure that doesn't happen, right? To account for that and make sure that I don't miss that flight. So the actions you take, you can almost think of that cost of missing the flight as kind of a benefit. The benefit is I don't miss the flight, and that's a great feeling. I don't have any stress. I make it on time. I don't have to change flights, right? You can almost think of that as the benefit. So you do a bunch of actions to account for that, right? Like we talked about, you leave early, you stress when you pack your bag to make sure you get everything you need, and you don't have to go back for anything. You don't forget your passport. You do all these things. Well, those things have a value to them. There is a cost to doing those things. And what I think this concept or this kind of belief is getting at is, hey, check your math, right? So many people do something like this. They don't miss a flight. I've never missed a flight in my life. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, that are like that. And if they step back and really look at it and say, well, what am I actually giving up to ensure that I don't miss that flight? How much time could I be spending more relaxed or sleeping, or maybe not fighting with my wife or my son because I'm so stressed about making sure we leave on time? All the things that it's costing us to always make the flight actually ends up outweighing the benefit you'd get from not missing the flight, right? And so the math just doesn't work out, but we don't ever really check it. We don't look at it. We just assume, I can't miss a flight. I don't want to do that. So I think it's just such a good illustration of that. It highlights that point so well. And you can look at it in all different things you do in life and say, hey, I should apply that concept. I should apply that belief of, hey, let me miss some more flights. And the one that comes to mind to me of late, where I think it's applicable, is, with all the tension in the country, kind of the partisanship, a lot of it's over racial lines right now, but it's always kind of a left-right thing. What I think a lot of people would say, and I've talked about it in other videos, is everybody's playing defense. Everybody's playing defense because they're so worried the other side's trying to take advantage or steal power or influence, or they're evil in some way. So everybody's playing defense. And you think of it through this miss more flights mentality. Nobody wants to miss a flight. Can't miss a flight. That's the thing. That's the key thing. I can't let anything through. I can't give up any ground. Same concept as not wanting to miss that flight. So the actions you're taking to prevent yourself from missing that flight, or in this case, losing to the other side or them getting some power, is you play such a heavy defense. You put up so many barriers. You're unwilling to listen to what they have to say. You act irrationally. You act off emotion. You're not willing to compromise in any way. You form these strong views and you refuse to give them up, regardless of what the data or the facts say. You put all these things, all this cost on that side of it, and much like missing the flights, you recognize the math doesn't check out. What I'm giving up, the opportunity cost on this is too high. And you think of it in terms of partisanship and all that, assuming most good-hearted, reasonable people care about the country and they just want the country to be better. That's their goal, right? That's their not missing a flight. I need the country to be better. I need it to be better. Well, look at all these things you're doing. It doesn't match up, right? It doesn't add up in that way. And by playing so much defense, by being so worried, about losing to the other side, you're missing the opportunity to actually hear them and to maybe find some middle ground and find some compromise. So it's true, if you let your guard down a bit, you may miss a flight, right? You may have an instance where you do get taken advantage of or manipulated in some way, or the other side does do something, out of a bad actor type thing. But that's okay. You do look at the math and it probably still checks out. You're probably still net positive because of all the opportunity you've gained, all the ability to have a conversation, work with somebody on the other side, understand them better, empathize with them better. All of that so far outweighs those couple flights you might miss, or those couple instances where the other side gets more than you, or something makes you angry about some new law they're trying to pass. Try and think of it in that bigger picture and really, really check the math and make sure you're checking all of it and you've accounted for all the variables and all that, because it may come out different than you suspect. So I try and follow that mentality, that miss more flights mentality. It ties to the theme that often is a negative for me and for thinking this way, of like that certainty. Anytime there's an absolute or there's certainty and you're never missing a flight, again, concept being you're probably doing something wrong. So I think a lot that we can learn if we try and take that inward and see where we can apply it.